y'all, it's Bella. So if you've seen my Exuma vlogs, you know that I went and I had a blast. So I wanted to come back and share some travel tips with you guys if you're planning on going to Exuma or even just to the Bahamas. So the first thing, people always ask me, do you need a passport? Yes, you need a passport. Bahamas is its own country. It's its own little collection of islands. You need a passport. However, if you want to stay longer than like 90 days, you're gonna need a visa. But other than that, passport, yes. So getting there, we flew American Airlines into Georgetown Airport. I think there's two airports, but Georgetown is like the more international, larger airport, GGT. It was cool. We had a layover in Miami. It was a nice flight, no problems, no issues. The line in the airport was very, very long because you can no longer check in online if you have an international flight, because you have to go to the desk and they have to check whatever type of travel restriction thing you're supposed to have for that country. You have to go to the desk even if you're not checking the bag. I wasn't checking the bag and I had to go to the desk and they had to check my little barcode. And then getting around, so something about car rental in Exuma that I did not know is that they don't have any of the larger companies like Hertz, Enterprise, or anything like that. If you want to rent a car, you have to book with a local rental car company. So we booked through Exuma Car Rental. You can just Google Exuma Car Rental and you'll see the companies pop up. So we booked through Exuma Car Rental. So once we landed in the airport and we walked outside, there was a woman outside kind of directing people. So she was like, oh, are you looking for a taxi? You're looking for a ride? You have a shuttle? Are you looking for car rental? And I was like, car rental. And she just directed us across the street. So we just walked across the street. I had already made a reservation ahead of time, and so they had all my details, and I just paid and then we drove off. Now I'll tell y'all about driving in Exuma. Driving in Exuma is different because they drive on the left side of the road. If you're an experienced driver, this probably wouldn't be an issue for you. It's not an issue for me, but it's just like, it's just different. And then they have a lot of roundabouts. So imagine coming up on a roundabout that you're not really used to anyway, and then you're on the left side, and it's kind of weird how things make sense. I don't know. It's just weird. Besides driving on the left side of the road in Exuma, there are no street names. There are no numbers, there are no street addresses, nothing. You have to kind of familiarize yourself with the island before you go. I would suggest looking at a good map of Exuma just to know like where the towns are and where the major things are, where the things are that you're trying to go to if you're driving, because you won't find them on your own. I'm gonna just tell you right now, it's not as easy as putting in a GPS and being able to find it because the directions don't exist. Leaving the airport, I just went out and I made a left. I was like, we came from the right, so must be the left. And I only knew I was going the right way because we were passing through the towns that I knew were in between where we were and where we were trying to go. But once we got to the town, we could not find the Airbnb. I ended up driving on the right side of the road because I was so confused. I was trying to pull up directions. I had to turn my data on. I had my data off. I was trying to keep my data off. I ended up having to turn my data on to try to get real GPS directions. But even with the data, there's no directions because the places don't have numbers. They don't have street addresses. So you could like type in a location, but if the map doesn't know where it is, then you're still just lost. So because I was on the wrong side of the road, or the right side, okay, you know what I mean, not the left side, someone actually pulled over and they were like, hey, do you know you're on the wrong side of the road? And I was like, oh. But they were like, oh, you guys not from here, huh? And so the guy ended up helping us find the Airbnb because we were just completely lost. I don't think we would have found it. I would have had to try to, anyway, I would suggest you looking at a map. A lot of places you can call or WhatsApp them and they'll send you an Apple location or a Google Maps location or something that you can follow too. But as far as like just putting something in GPS and being able to drive there, don't count on it, okay? Just keep that in mind. And as far as where to stay, there are a few resorts. I'm not sure if they're all inclusive because we didn't stay there, but there was like a Sandals. There was a big one called Paradise Bay that I kept seeing and I kept hearing about, so it might be very nice, I don't know. But we stayed in an Airbnb, which was very amazing. If you've seen the vlog, you've seen it. I would recommend Airbnb if you want like more of a local stay. If you're used to resorts, do your thing, baby. They look really nice, they seem really nice. I didn't hear any complaints from anybody who was coming to the resorts. And also getting your test to come back into the US, some of those resorts were doing them on site, and so you didn't have to worry about going look for a clinic, which I'll talk more about that because, you know, we're staying in Airbnb, so everything was on our own. We went at the end of May. It was blazing hot, okay? And it probably got even hotter in June and July. But when we went, it was so hot, okay? I would suggest carrying some water, some sunscreen, a hat. I ended up buying like a dry fit long sleeve shirt because my arms were just burning. When we went to ride the ATVs, if you notice, I had on like a long sleeve shirt because I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do the swimsuit, short sleeve shirt, shorts. No, I needed something to cover my body because it was just too hot. While we were there, honestly, every time I go to the Bahamas, it's probably like my 10th time going to the Bahamas, I've never caught rain. The lady that was hosting us in the Airbnb, she actually said we had just missed a storm. So I guess we just got lucky. Maybe I get lucky every time I go, but it's always blazing, sunny, hot every single time I go. But if you are planning to go, especially after you watch this video's time, we all know that the Caribbean is known for getting hit with hurricanes. It's, you know, just be mindful of the time of the year that you're planning to go. As far as things to do, that boat tour that we did to swim with the sharks and swim with the pigs, it's not really too much else to do besides that. Really, that's the main attraction on the island. So we did go ATV riding. You can go sit down in a restaurant and eat, but this island is not really jam-packed with activities. It's more for you go swim with the pigs, swim with the sharks, and you do a lot of relaxation. That's really what it's about. I took some pictures of the things they had to do in the visitor's guide that was in our Airbnb. I know I didn't see any of this on Google, so I hope this is also helpful to you guys looking for some things to do on the island. If you want an island that's like jam-packed with activities, but you still want to swim with the pigs, swim with the sharks and everything, they do the same type of tours from Nassau. And of course, Nassau is way more packed with activities, way more packed with more tourists, and there's so much more to do. You know, they have the water parks and everything there. So if you want a jam-packed vacation, Exuma is not the island for you. Just letting you know. But the beaches are really pretty. If you just want to relax, you just want to be serene, you don't want too much going on, Exuma. As far as money goes, the American dollar is dollar for dollar with the Bahamian dollar. People will accept American cash just fine. I've never had a problem with anyone not wanting to take American dollars and preferring Bahamian dollars. It's a good chance they'll give you change in Bahamian, but I just keep it. I'll give it out as a tip, or you know, if I'm going to a little shop or something, I want to pick up some water or something. It's nice to have a little cash, but you don't need everything in cash. As far as like the boat tour and like the ATV and like getting our test, I pay for that stuff on my card. So it wasn't too much that I felt like I needed a large amount of cash. Oh, and going to the market also, I needed cash. But for the most part, you don't need a lot of cash. Just a little bit. And if you don't know, if you've been to the island, you know, but things are very expensive on islands. You have to remember that they're importing a lot of things. So Bahamas specifically has this VAT tax that they add on everything. I'm assuming it's basically to start covering their import tax that they pay. But when you go to an island like Bahamas, Jamaica, things are going to be more expensive. Like that bottle of water that you paid $1.54 in the US is going to be like $3, $4, $5 on an island because they're importing it from the US or somewhere else or something. It's gonna be more expensive, period. Be prepared for that, okay? Lastly, let's get into the travel restrictions with everything going on. So in order to go, you had to either have a negative PCR test or you had to be vaccinated. The PCR test had to be within, I think, 5 days at the time that we went. It might have changed to 72 hours now, but y'all know y'all have to stay on top of that stuff, okay? Because it will change in an instant. And in addition to either having the test or the vaccine, you had to go on their like website. It was like a travel health visa website, and you had to apply for a travel health visa. So you had to upload either your negative test or your vaccination, proof of vaccination, and then also pay like, I want to say like $40 for travel insurance. And then once you did that, they gave you like a little barcode that you can show at the airport, and you're gonna scan it like throughout your travel process to get to the Bahamas. When you're doing customs, they're gonna ask for it. Have it printed out, because having it on the phone, I just, you know, the service and things like that, even if you have a screenshot, that would be better. I printed mine out and it just made things so much easier. And then while we were there, every day we had to log on and do a like a daily health check. So you just go on and you let them know that you're not having any symptoms or anything like that. We only stayed 4 days, but if you were staying 5 days or longer, on your 5th day, you would have had to take another test as required by the Bahamas. But since we only stayed 4 days, we didn't have to worry about that. We went in just to take our test to get back home, which we took a rapid test. It was, I want to say $45, paid with my card. The PCR test, I think, would have been like $200, but we didn't need that. We just took a rapid test. It took like an hour. So while we were waiting, we just walked around, went to the market, whatever, and then came back. She printed our results out for us, and then that was all we needed to get back to the US, was proof of that we took a negative test and, you know, obviously our passport, stuff like that. So that's all the tips I have for you guys right now. I hope it was helpful. If it was, go ahead and give this video a like. If you have any comments or questions or anything, I hope I can answer. Just drop it down below. But until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.